Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Chris coming at you from my channel I Am Toys. This is going to be a dual review of both Spider-Man from Spider-Man Homecoming. I know I've been away for a little bit. Haven't pumped out a new review probably since, what was it? I think Doc Brown from Back to the Future. So the reason I've been away or not kind of posting too much or doing any reviews, and I've had these since they came out, I just haven't had the time. I mentioned in a couple of videos back, I'm in the process of finishing my doctorate. I finally finished. I defended my doctoral project and passed, and I took my national board exams on Monday, so I am officially Dr. Chris now. Finally, school is done, and I don't ever have to open up another school book unless it's for continuing education to keep up my license. That's about it, so I'm very happy. I was one of those kids, one of those people anyway, when I was a kid, you know, I constantly had people telling me that, you know, you would never become anything in your life. So, from me to you, if you're one of those people, don't ever let people tell you that. You know, prove them wrong. Don't ever let people tell you ain't shit, because for me, people telling me that all throughout my life pretty much invigorated me and lit a fire under my ass, and I pretty much never stopped. So it's all paid off in the end. Hard work pays off. You know, it's just the way it works. So anyway, back to these two guys. I'm going to do two quick reviews. I'm generally pleased with both of these. And if I didn't mention it already, hit the 4K option so on your browser so you get this in its total resolution. But I'll go through each figure. I'll throw you some poses at the end. Go through the accessories in one fell swoop. Some of the accessories are the same between each figure, so we'll see what I put out, but I'll probably just lay them out on the table there and give you a pan of them just to show you what comes with it. So we'll start with, I guess, homemade cloth Spider-Man first, the homemade suit, and then we'll move on to the other. And then, like I said, I'll probably do some quick poses. I'm not going to do too much articulation in this because the poses will kind of show you what you can do with this figure. And I can tell you already off the bat, the articulation is better on the homemade suit version. That's just right off the bat. I don't mind telling you that now. But so anyway, let's get to that figure. Rotate him around and rotate the other. Switch the head sculpts on each, and we'll do what we do. All right, so here you go. Here's the top half of the torso as we rotate him around. The eyes on him are obviously magnetic. You can pop them off. They are a little bit of a pain in the ass, just like with the eyes on the regular one. And I'm going to apologize now if you hear my kids screaming upstairs. They're twins and they're 6 years old, so this is just what they do. So if you do hear that, I apologize. But anyway, yeah, this is the cloth version, the homemade suit. The articulation is really good on this for the most part because it's cloth, so you got a little leeway. You can leave him in extended poses. You're probably not going to worry about too much damage to the suit. Like I mentioned, the eyepiece is a little bit pain in the ass to take off. I believe they're magnetized as well. You can use the magnet, pull them right off. I have a really strong one, which is probably upstairs. We'll see if I got some time in between cuts. I might run up and grab it just to make it easier so I can show you the different looks on the faces. And then at least I can give you some different variations in posing with that at the end, depending on how much time I have. So overall, you can see it's general cloth. Nothing fancy. It's probably the same shit that they make real shirts out of, pretty much. The likeness to the outfit in the actual film is pretty good. There are some nitpicks, but I'm not even going to mention them because they're so minute and ridiculous that I really could care less. I like that there's actually somewhat of a head sculpt underneath. I don't know if you guys saw the side. The ear actually comes through, and obviously you got the nose. I'm sure if we rip that off, it's probably not going to really have eyes or a mouth, but or possibly, who knows. I haven't really felt up the front of the face below the nose bridge area to see if there is actually lips, but I doubt it. But you can see the ears protruding through the sides, which is nice. Nice attention to detail there. So, you know, that's that. So I'm going to move down to the lower half torso. Again, it's not going to be as entertaining as the front. As the top. It'll be probably about the same excitement level. So let me cut away to that, and we'll get to that next. Here's the lower half torso. with the legs. I wish there could have been maybe something else they could have done with the feet. You know, that point of the joint where it meets the actual shoe portion. It's a little bit unsightly, but you know, in shots and whatnot, when you're taking photos of it or when you have it posed up in a detail on a display shelf, it's not going to be too much of an eyesore. But I know some people, you know, have bitched about that, and you know, that's probably a nitpick that I could add to the other things. I mean, that's probably one of the few that I will mention. But that's really about it, honestly. Everything else is the detail that they pay to it is pretty damn good. So that's it for the lower half. I have to actually, I don't know if anybody can mention this in the comments or not. Are the shoes, for some reason I feel like the shoes aren't as accurate to what they were in the movie. And I don't have the time to pull up a photo of it, you know, while I'm filming right now. But I feel like there's something a little bit off about the shoe construction that they did. I could be wrong, you know, I'm just spitballing right now. But anyway, let's move on to the, you know, let's do the head sculpt. Let's put the head on him, and we'll see what you guys think about that. Here's a close-up shot of the head sculpt on him. Looks really good. You know, again, most people, if you had to rate this, generally will give out a rating on the head sculpts on these. Sometimes, you know, everyone throws their bias in, so you know, it's hard to be 100% objective all the time in this hobby because your bias does taint it a little bit. But for me, this is, if there is a scale on likenesses, and 10 being, there's no perfect. To get someone's face perfect is almost impossible. But on the general likeness scale of considering the hobby we are in, this is a 10 as far as what they were able to achieve on his sculpt. It's a 10. It really is. This is about as good as it gets. I mean, could there have been a little more detail in the face, really? I mean, I doubt it. I mean, he's a young kid. He doesn't have many wrinkles. The tone on his face is appropriate. Again, this is the battle damage head sculpt. And on this version, the eyes are actually facing forward. You know, just want to make mention of that. But anyway, I give this a 10, man, as far as, you know, the hobby goes. They really, really did a good job. And anybody that is dropping it below that, or even a 9.5, I mean, I don't know what else would be better on this. I mean, I'm trying to think of something recent. Doctor Strange is probably about a 10. And again, this is not perfect likenesses. Get to trying to sculpt someone's face perfectly in this scale is impossible. But you can get pretty fucking close. And like I already said, this is definitely there. So let's get to the other one. Rotate him around as well. Instead of, actually, you know what? I'll do kind of what we did on this. So, all right, see you on the other side of that one. So here's the top half torso of him. Let the switch and let him go around for you as well. I really like this. You know, when comparing this to the Amazing Spider-Man Part 2 figure, I still like that. I'm not going to get rid of that because I like the outfit on that, honestly, to tell you the truth. And I really like the outfit on this as well. Now, when you see this turn, this is one thing I don't like a little bit is, you know, from the rear, you do see a piece of that neck joint a little bit when you're tilting his head down like that. But again, you're not going to be opposing him from the back, so it's not really a big fucking deal. But it is what it is. I even pushed it down a little bit to see if maybe that was an issue, but it's just, you know, the head's tilted down, that little piece does come out. It's not a big deal. At least not for me anyway. Some folks are going to cry about that, but I'm not going to be one of them. But anyway, back to the Amazing Spider-Man Part 2. I do like that version as well. So I'm not going to be selling him just because I got this. I'm going to definitely hold on to him. Yeah, but each of them are great in their own respects. I made a mistake of posing my Amazing Spider-Man 2 version in a dynamic pose for way too long. I completely forgot the pose I had him in, and I kind of jacked up his crotch and rear end area. It never kind of resolved or relaxed back to where it was supposed to again. And I'm looking at it right now, and it's actually not too bad. It's kind of wrinkled a little, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was, so I guess it's okay. But you know, it is what it is. But with this, I've seen some horror stories already, guys, with people leaving this in a pose. I mean, you really, I can't stress highly enough that when you get these figures and you get the instruction booklets, make sure you read them. And people will bitch and complain about Thyssen figures and with these figures, and then you see people, well, why, you know, certain people will ask questions, oh, how come people pose their figures in museum poses all the time? Because these figures, the stress damage to the outfit is sometimes, it's just inevitable. And to try and parallel the quality or the fabric or the look of what you see in the film to the figure, you have to try, and you're going to be using stuff that is generally probably not very durable. You either want the look and you want a high quality figure, or you want it a little bit subpar just to get, you know, maybe tack down the quality on the outfit a little bit so you can get the articulation. It's hard, man. When you're a company trying to do this, I don't know, but I saw some bad pictures of the bottom. There were some guy posted a figure with holes in the back of the calf area, behind that knee area, like literally holes in it. That's kind of crazy. So it's not very durable, and supposedly they said it wasn't in there very long. I mean, the figure hasn't been out in Hong Kong that long, and I mean, if that's from just a couple of hours or even a couple of days, you know, that's no good. So once again, if you're you know, you're one of those people that don't like Thyssen because you can't keep them in dynamic poses for too long because they crease, you're going to have that same issue with this guy. So just make sure you be careful and, you know, just be cautious. I've had him in a few dynamic poses just for some photos, and I haven't had any problems with the outfit returning back to its original shape and texture. Even with the knees and the legs, it does go back. So that's pretty good. I like that. You know, it could be worse, right? So let me move down to the bottom portion of the torso. So we can move this along. All right, so here's the rear part of the torso, and just to draw some attention to his butt real quick, I've had him in some pretty crazy stretches, and the back of him and the front crotch area did wrinkle up just like the previous Amazing Spider-Man 2 version of him, and like this one though, I feel like this suit rebounds back to the original form a lot better than the other one did. The other one took a little bit longer, but it did return to form. This one, but with that one though, I think you could pose it, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think you could pose it a little bit longer, at least a few days, at least I felt anyway, without it becoming permanently damaged. With this, you know, after I saw that picture of someone who posted that after a couple of days, I mean, who knows, it could be people just purposely fucking their figures up just to throw Hot Toys under the bus, but you never know. And you might think I'm crazy for saying that, but in this hobby there are people that do some pretty crazy things. But anyway, as you can see behind the leg and everywhere else, you can't even tell that I've had this in some dynamic poses. Again, they haven't been long though, maybe a few minutes just for some shots, and then I reposition them back to a relaxed pose. Unfortunately, he's going to be probably in a museum pose, man. He's just going to be one of those figures. And you're spending, what, $240, $250, something like that on this guy. And this is the deluxe version. And for a figure that you really can't articulate for very long, it really kind of is, it does a little demoralizing, I guess. You know, you spend this much money on a figure, you would hope that you have a little bit more articulation than it actually comes with, man. But this is the nature of the hobby, man. It's the nature of the beast. And until more companies come out, I mean, there are a lot of 1/6 scale companies that are coming out, and Blitzway is one that's up there with Hot Toys as far as quality. But the problem is not many. You know, another one also that comes to mind is QMX. But to really, I mean, other than Customs and maybe those three companies per se, I mean, they're my favorites. There aren't enough companies out there to really be competitive and to make companies drop the prices of their figures. And Hot Toys has kind of set the bar, along with Blitzway, on quality of figures, and none of their prices are dropping. And QMX is actually, their figures are actually a bargain, a few of them, for what you get. And I would suspect that as their licenses, as they gain more licenses as well, you're going to see their prices start to tick up as well. They're excellent. Their quality is excellent. The articulation of their figures are excellent, and they're able to form fit fabric. You know, and still maintain articulation, which is awesome. So, all right, I've been burning too much time on this lower half, staring at Spider-Man's crotch. So, let's move on to the head sculpt on him. There's the head sculpt that comes with him. There are a few people that like the battle damage version more, and I can understand that. You know, some people like the eyes facing forward because it gives a little bit more versatility as far as certain poses, which is definitely you know, a point to be made. It's a valid point as well. It's nice that you have the variation between one that's eyes are off to the side and also battle damage, and then you have this one which is clean and then off to the side. So people can get creative, and you can do what you need to do to knock the poses out that you want to achieve, and you know, make yourself happy. But again, this sculpt as well, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. The only thing that could make it close to better than that is ripping off this guy's face and murdering him and shrinking his face down to this size. Or chopping off his head and putting it on a stick and keeping it in your home. I'm not advocating for someone to go out and kill this guy, so please don't take that as some kind of motivation to find him. But anyway, it's I'm sure even he looks at this figure and is probably like, wow, I would give that a 10. So that's it. That's that sculpt. And now, well, I guess I'll do a pan of the accessories real quick. The hands, the jacket, and so on. What comes with these guys, I'll try to keep the accessories on for one figure on the other side, and then the accessories for the other on the other side, so I don't get confused. And of course, I'll narrate that so there is no confusion. So let's get to it. Hey, alright, so we're going to do the accessories. Hopefully that's what I said before the last cutaway. I'm continuing this review the next day, so if that's not what I said and I told you something else, I'm sorry. If I can re-edit it in the end and fix it, we'll see. But anyway, we're going to go through the deluxe accessories first. Try to do it as quick as possible. So here's the extra mask that you get. Obviously, this mask does not... cannot fit on the naked head sculpt. It would be great. Instructions tell you not to put it on there because you could damage the head sculpt, but honestly, you probably got a better shot at damaging this and ripping it, honestly. Because the bottom doesn't fit at all. Once you start to stretch that, it's going to rip. So don't try to do it. You can mod it probably. One of my favorite looks of Spider-Man is that when he pulls his mask halfway up, there's some awesome Todd McFarlane covers where he does that in the issues as well, and he looks badass, man. I mean, maybe it's just the way Todd McFarlane draws, but it was I love that impersonation, that incarnation of Spider-Man. He looks total badass with his mask half up. It's just a cool look. It's just a cool look. It's not necessarily he looks badass. It's just, I don't know. It's just a look that I like. You know, you could probably mod this and be able to do it, which I'm kind of considering to do now. But it's cool. And why Hot Toys didn't just make this stretchy enough to be able to do it in the first place, who the hell knows. But it is what it is. So we'll go to the head. Obviously, this is the head that comes with the regular version, or the deluxe version rather. I have the squinted eyes on there. And now just be careful popping out the eyes. If you have a magnet, it's probably the best route of action you could take. I wish this came. I don't know why they don't include them naturally. Like if you got RoboCop comes with this big magnet. I mean, it's not huge. It's probably about 1.5 inches, maybe long, and it looks like I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like, I don't know what the hell it really looks like, but it's like a little nub. It's about like that big, and you can just take it and pop everything off. I have the RoboCop. I actually have 2 versions of that RoboCop that it came with, and of course I have no idea what the hell I did with it. So what I do with this is basically, I have a really strong magnet, and just this right here, it's ridiculously strong, and bang, pulls it out like that. And if you've got a magnet, I would suggest doing it that way. It's a hell of a lot easier to save yourself a lot of trouble and crying. So this one is a little bit more stuck than the left. I don't know why that is, but it does come out. It's coming out easier now. It didn't before. And then I can just pop that right back in, and boom. The other way is trying to find a thin piece of plastic. I wouldn't use metal, getting it in there, and then popping them out, which is a pain, still a pain in the ass. Again, magnet, best way to go. So these are some of the eyes, some of the alternate eyes I'll show you. I'm not going to show you each one. Well, I guess I can show you each one, why not? You get these. Give that a second to try and come in focus. You get those. Next set. These are the kill mode eyes. I forget what the hell that mode was actually called, but it was basically the murder mode, essentially, which Peter didn't like to use. And I don't think I showed you guys these. And that's your last set, including the ones that are on there, the squinted ones, which I already showed you. Here's the jacket, school jacket that he comes with, that he wears briefly in the film. Good detail, man. Good tailoring. I'm probably not going to use this, and I doubt it. I don't know. Probably put it up for sale on eBay or something, or in one of the collector groups, to tell you the truth. Each the homemade version. Excuse me, I'm burping my ass off. The homemade version and the deluxe Spider-Man version come with this. So I'm not going to bother showing you it again. You can probably see it right there on the left-hand side. So it also comes with the homemade and the full suit. It's pretty cool. You can get probably some interesting poses with this. It's got a connecting piece where you can connect one of the longer pieces to the back end of it. You've got this piece of the webbing, which is arced for you to be able to have like a swinging kind of pose and make it look like he's pulling, or you can do various things. Get creative. And you've got a bunch of various straight ones. That come into focus for you. Give it a second. Come on, man. Alright, there we go. So yeah, you got the two thin ones with nothing attached, and then you got the two wad extensions. And that's pretty much the same with the cloth homemade version. Homemade suit version, so I'm not going to show you them again. Now the alternate collars, the web shooters. Now this is the one that it comes with. I don't know if you can see it, but it doesn't have the little hole in the front. It's cool that they added that. I mean, they gave you two, one open and one closed, but it's almost unnecessary. Like the holes are so small, even on the open one. It's not noticeable, so I don't know why they just didn't give you one set. I mean, one set's good enough. I mean, you're not going to see me using these just because the hole is closed. Whatever. Sweater. This is cool. Gives you some another look to pose them in. I like that they added this. I already took a couple shots with him wearing it. You got the webbing that goes under his arms. Classic Spider-Man pose, although you're going to be limited with what you can do with these because they're not malleable. They're hard plastic, they magnet in, so unless you're posing them with his arms both up or one arm up in a pose, you're generally not going to use these probably too often, to tell you the truth. For a couple, swing backflip shots or something with his arm up, that's about it. You get the Science Today book, which is nice that they added this. It does have actual words on the inside, but each paragraph begins with the same thing. It's like a product of something or whatever, so it's not different on each page, unfortunately. But it's cool that they added that in. I like it. Again, gives you more variation with poses. You get the helmet, the Vulture helmet. It's nice that they added that. Not really sure what too much you can do with it, except for some holding poses. Be nice if it came out with the figure, but whatever. But the figure will probably come with this head anyway, so it's like, what's the point of having it? But I don't see them coming out with the Vulture helmet, so oh well. You get the headphones. I like that they added these. Have a nice little again, more variations in posing. Get bored with a pose, you can change it up, which I kind of like. The more accessories you have, the better, because more posing options. Sorry, again, I always give my periodic apologies for my kids screaming upstairs. My wife came home early, so they're being bad, so I think she's screaming at them up there, so forgive me for that. But that's the life of being a dad, man. You know, I do this for fun. I'm not really trying to make trying to make money off of it, rather. And, you know, I'll throw some ads in my videos, you know, hoping to make a few bucks, man. But honestly, it's just, I could care less. I'm actually probably going to go through into my account and remove the ad options, because it's just a waste of time. I pretty much, unless you're getting crazy views, you're not making money. And I'm not in this to really make money. I love this hobby. Anybody who's seen my collection knows me and know that I love this hobby. So that's what it's about. So here are the two of the hands you get. Paint application is awesome. You obviously get some alternate open and closed grip hands. Paint application's good. They're not cloth, they're sculpted. Two more. Really good detail. And the last of the open grip hands and the web shooting hands as well. I think I showed you one of them already, or I had one on the figure, I can't remember. And now the one base that I had Spider-Man on, the cloth version, I can't remember. That's the base he comes with. This is the base I believe comes with the deluxe, unless I'm confusing them. For all I know, I might have confused the two already. But I believe this is the one that comes with the deluxe. It's a cool base. Takes up a lot of room though, so in a detolf, I might not use it. I'm probably going to use one of the standard black bases, oval bases. Takes up less space, and you can it still holds a pretty decent pose. And let's see, what do we got next? I guess this leaves the homemade suit version, which I'll just show you all the hands instead of being a dipshit and showing you each hand separately. How about I just put them all in one damn hand and show them to you? So these are all the closed and open gripped hands that you get for alternating on the homemade version. Again, good options. I like it because you can put him up against the wall, you can have his hands on his hip, you can have him holding stuff, you know, so the options are nice. And again, like with the eyes, instead of fucking putting them all up one at a time and wasting all kinds of time, I'm going to put the alternate eyes that you get in one shot for you. These are the other ones, and I think I made a mistake and I said that these were magnetized at all. They're actually not. You actually have to, they're plastic components, and you pull them off basically. So these are the other ones that come, and the other two are already on the head, which I'll show you right now, as you can see. And now, of course, like with this one, just like with the other Spider-Man head that I showed you, one comes off easy and one does not. This one comes off perfectly easy. Kind of looks ridiculous without it, right? And goes right back on like that. This one was a little bit harder to come off. See, like I said, they say don't use excessive force, right? Well, you're not making it easy for me to take it off. So just be careful. And folks, I've seen some people hold their figures with some dirty ass hands, man. Don't do that with this head. The cloth, unless you want to get black shit or whatever, hot dog, mustard, paint, whatever, man. I once saw a guy holding a figure, I don't know what it was, but he had black shit all over his hands. I think he said he was just done painting something. And he was holding a cloth figure in his hand. I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, it made me cringe. Especially these fucking things are expensive, man. So take care of your stuff, you know. So that's that. And you obviously get a cloth mask too with him. Extra. Again, don't put it on the head, because you will damage this. You will tear it to pieces. And there's also the chance of damaging the head sculpt, like Hot Toys says in their whatchamacallit, in their instructions. So that's about it, man. As far as the accessories, that's pretty much everything. They're both their bases or posable, so you can show you this just so you're not staring at a blank board. But anyway, both bases have the flight stands, or the dynamic stands rather. So I probably want to show you this again. So you can just pop that in there, and that's what I was using with the homemade Spidey in the beginning. That's what he was posed on, and you can do more dynamic shit with that. Alright, so that's that. Alright, so here we are at the close of the video. These are the two poses I'm going to leave you with. I think this pretty much demonstrates what you can do as far as the articulation, especially with the deluxe version. I've got the one arm extended out pretty high, pretty far. Especially the rear arm I have pretty much all the way back. I have the legs separated about as far as they can go from the inner thigh. I wish the articulation was a little bit better on the deluxe version, on the actual, you know, the Tony suit that he gave Peter. There are a couple poses that I wanted to pull off with Spider-Man that are kind of classic, and I couldn't do it. The legs just don't come apart at the waist enough, and considering the fabric, you would probably tear it, or you'd have really baggy fabric in order to pull that off. But for what you're able to do, especially with this pose, and still pull it off and it not rip, is pretty good. I'm obviously not going to leave it in that pose because it will damage. I'll tell you right now. It's other than doing some quick photos with this guy, you basically want to keep him in a museum pose. Again, it's in the instructions. Don't leave them in dynamic poses for too long. So if anybody ever asks you why you have your figures in a museum pose, use him as an example, or pull out a Feisen figure like Wonder Woman. You use Wonder Woman as an example of the reasons. You know, there's countless. So again, as soon as I'm done with this, I'll be taking them out of that pose, putting them in something that's a little flexed, but nothing that's gonna, you know, damage the figure over time. I really like the homemade suit version because I don't have to worry about any of that. Other than some wrinkling at the joints with the figure, you really don't have too much to worry about. You can leave him in some pretty dynamic poses, and I love the ending, the last few minutes with him in that movie. So I wasn't originally going to get the homemade suit, but that sealed the deal for me. I'm like, I got to have both incarnations, so they're represented in my collection. Overall, you know, they're great. I would give both these figures, honestly, I'd probably give the homemade suit version a 9.5 to a 10, to tell you the truth, because there's really nothing really wrong with it, other than, you know, the joint piece between the ankle and the shoe is a little unsightly, but it's not enough to really detract a lot of points from, at least from me anyway. Again, it's my own bias, it's what I like, but I'm extremely happy with that. And the other figure, the deluxe version, I would probably give that a 9, just because you can't do any significant posing for too long without it being damaged. So that's really about it, guys. The head sculpts are both a 10 as far as I'm concerned, and that's really all I have to say about these two figures, man. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook. I'm here and there in the groups. You know, whatever. I'm around. I'll see you guys at the next one. Deuces.